guys, today's video is going to be super exciting for me at least because I don't know if you guys were around a couple of years ago, but tags were all the rage. So I took it upon myself to come up with my own tag because I'm like, I used to love doing tags. I know a lot of you guys who make videos like doing tags as well. And I think for just it being the end of the year, it's fun to reflect back and look at the things that have come out this year. And since I am a makeup enthusiast who mostly focus on eyeshadows, I thought what better tag to come up with than one that just has to do with eyeshadows. And I know that there has been similar tags to this in the past, but I just thought it could be fun to just do a new one. So I'm not taking credit for coming up with like an eyeshadow palette tag or whatever you want to call it, but I've just come up with a list of 10 questions and I'm just going to answer them. And if you would like to do so yourself, please go ahead and do. I would love to see your videos. So go ahead and let me know if you do end up doing this because I just think watching tags is one of my favorite kind of videos to watch. But before we get into the actual tag, this video is sponsored by someone that I've had on my channel before a very long time ago, like back when I first started my channel. And Teddy Blake is actually sponsoring this video. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Teddy Blake makes affordable luxury handbags, and they are made with premium Italian leather in the same factories as a lot of high-end designer bags. They have classic and timeless pieces that you can wear for years and honestly probably the rest of your life if you take good care of them. They reached out to me and they asked me to pick out a bag so I could show to you and also just so I could use because I love a good handbag. I'm not gonna lie. I went on their website, I took a look, and I already knew that there would be a lot of options that I would really like because I really like their handbags. And when I saw the Kim Croco 11-inch bag, I was like, that is my bag. It is such a beautiful handbag. And when I got the package and I opened it, the experience of opening a new handbag that's made out of leather and you get that sniff of leather when you open it is just no better feeling. It comes in a beautifully packaged package with a dust bag inside of it. The bag itself, the attention to details, the leather is beautiful, the colors are beautiful. The whole experience of getting this package honestly was worth the bag, and I really enjoy that they have such high quality bags for pretty affordable prices, especially considering the quality. Like, this is a high-end quality bag, and I can say that because I have some luxury handbags myself in my collection, and comparing the two, honestly, I feel like the Teddy Blake bags are just as nice. And the nice thing obviously is that the price is a lot lower than buying from like big fashion houses where you basically pay for the brand name, whereas with Teddy Blake, that is not where you're paying for. You're paying for the craftsmanship, you're also paying for the good quality leather that you're getting in the bags. And I would highly recommend you guys check them out. The bag that I got, obviously, I'm going to be able to use this in so many different ways. I can style it casually, which is usually how I dress anyway. So for the most part, I'm probably going to be wearing it with pretty casual outfits so that I can dress them up. But of course, you can use the bag with any outfit that you like. And the thing I like about their bags is that most of them are pretty classic, and so you can wear them with anything. And I just think that they're really nice, and it would make for an amazing Christmas present if that is something that you think that someone you love would like. I think that they would be over the moon to get a Teddy Blake handbag. And of course, I'm the kind of person who like to buy gifts for myself for Christmas, and I could see myself getting a bag for myself for Christmas if I didn't already have this one. But I just think that they are beautiful. So go ahead and check out their website. They usually have up to 70% off all of their handbags. Maybe not all of them, but certain styles can be up to 70% off. And you can also stack my code Annette to get an extra 30% off of your handbag. So thank you so much to Teddy Blake for sponsoring this video. But I'm really excited to be talking about these palettes because I feel like a lot of these, some of you might be, I don't know, surprised probably by some of these answers, but I'm just excited to get into these. So I'm like dropping all of my palettes all over the place. Anyway, let's start with the first question. So the first question on my list here is, what is the most innovative release of the year? And I went back and forth between a couple of palettes, but the one palette that for me, I remember saying in my video with this palette that I thought that this was the most innovative release of the year because I didn't feel like, it's not that this hasn't been done before, but I feel like it maybe hasn't been done as well. And this is actually a collaboration palette between Beaute Bar and mjones, which is Monica. She is one of my friends. She is amazing. And here's what the palette looks like. Now, what I feel like is so innovative about this is the inclusion of the water activated liners, which is such a fun touch. And I wanted to include a water activated liner in my look today, which isn't actually from this palette because I wanted a different color than what was in this palette. But I just think that this is so fun. And I feel like it's a trend that we've kind of seen a lot this year. A lot of brands have come out with water activated liners, and graphic liners have been very popular, at least with the people that I follow. A lot of people have gotten into it and I love it. I think it is so fun and it's such a cool way to spice up like a neutral look like I have going on today. I will tell you in a little bit what I have on my eyes today because I did use one of the palettes I'm going to talk about. But I just love the layout of this palette. I love that there's kind of monochromatic rose, and I love the shimmers in here. They are that really, really shiny, sparkly, but kind of wet looking and kind of sheer formula that I'm just so in love with. This one makes for a beautiful face highlighter. It's one of those iridescent kind of, how would I even explain this? It's like a pinky yellow iridescent shade. So beautiful. I really like this palette and I just love the concept of this. I think this is so cool and I feel like it's not something that, like I said before, I've seen done well before. So I felt like this palette deserved to be in this video because I just had such a good time playing with it. I didn't want to put it down when I was done with my review, and I feel like that says a lot about palettes when I still want to keep playing with them even though I'm done reviewing them. Now, let's move on to what is actually on my eyes today. And I think some of you might be like, are you kidding me? Like, is this really the one that you're going to be talking about? But this is the palette that surprised me the most this year. And when I first got the package and I tried this palette, I actually bought this palette myself because I tried some other things from the brand and I was very, very impressed. But this is from Flower Nose. And if you saw my video with this palette, you probably remember how just kind of blown away I was by the quality of this. And this is a tiny, tiny, tiny neutral palette. First off, the packaging is A+. It is so nice, so well done. And the color story is honestly really well done as well. So it's obviously a very neutral palette. Like I said, it's kind of boring. But what I love so much about this is the formulas that are in here. I feel like they just feel very classy and high-end. Like the mattes are super smooth, but they're still pigmented, very blendable, very buildable. Like I said, they're so smooth. They're almost a creamy formula without being a cream. They have so much impact to them, and the shimmer on my lid is honestly one of my favorite shimmers in my collection. This little unassuming thing inside of the triangle in this palette, I was not expecting this to be what it is, and it is insane. If they sold palettes with only this shimmer formula, I would buy all of them, like every single one of them, because I just like, oh my god, have you seen anything like it? Listen, I've gotten a lot of good silvers into my collection this year, but this one is just special. It's so sparkly and it just looks so good and so shiny, and it layers so nicely over the mattes, and there's just something so ethereal and magical about this shade that I just could not mention this palette, because I feel like if you haven't tried this brand and you're interested in any of their palettes, I couldn't recommend them enough because they are so nice. Next question on my list is a palette that you regret buying. And I don't think I have a lot of regrets, honestly. I feel like I'm pretty good at knowing beforehand if I'm going to like a palette or not before I buy it. But I do have two that I want to mention. And the first one makes me really sad to say because I love this brand so much, but I feel like this palette, just for me, was a bit of a miss. And this is the Warms My Blood palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. Now, the color story on this is absolutely stunning. Like, this is one of the most beautiful neutral palettes that I have ever seen, but these shimmers are just not it for me. Like, they are super creamy, and I love creamy shimmers. You guys know that. I love the kind of shimmers that are a bit of a putty formula. Some crease really badly on me, some don't crease as much. I'm okay with creasing if they at least stay on my eyes to the point where I can just kind of tap over them and it's fine. But these, my eyelids just eat them. I don't know where they go, but they just disappear. And remember the first time I wore this, I was gone on a trip. I was in Canada and I put this on in the morning. We went to the mall and I remember looking in a mirror at the mall and I was like, whoa, like what happened to my eyeshadow? Where did my eyeshadow go? And it was just like a little specks of like sparkle left on my eye with a giant crease in the middle, and I was just like, oh no. That is not good. So I was not enjoying my look the rest of that day. Thankfully, I was able to go back to the hotel and kind of freshen up a little bit and put a different shimmer on, but I've tried a couple of more of these shimmers and I've not had a good experience. So I don't know what it is about these shimmers in particular. Usually with Unearthly, I don't have a problem with their shimmers, especially to that extent. So I'm very sad about it because I would love that palette if the shimmers just lasted a little bit better on my eyes, but they don't, and so that's why I had to mention this palette. The other palette that I regret buying, now I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by this one, and it's not that this is a bad palette, it's just nothing special for the price, at least for me. So this is the holiday palette from Pat McGrath, and it's called the Celestial Nirvana palette. I can never say that name, but you've all seen this palette. This is nothing new. I mean, I think the mattes in here are really nice. I think the mattes perform beautifully, but I was just expecting a little bit more with these shimmers. I do understand this is a holiday release and is a cheaper palette from Pat McGrath and you get a lot of shades, but I just felt like these were so lackluster and so boring and they didn't do anything at all for me. Now, does that mean I'm not going to use this palette again? Definitely not, but I'm not going to use it for the shimmers. I'm only going to reach for this for the mattes because I feel like the mattes are definitely the stars of the show. And if you're someone who likes more toned down shimmers, I think you're going to love this. I think that the shimmers wear really nicely and there's nothing particularly wrong with them. It's just not my preference when it comes to shimmers. Like, I like these kind of shimmers and I don't like those kind of more dry looking shimmers that are just meh, you know? So that wasn't really for me, and it's definitely a palette that if I hadn't had a YouTube channel and I bought this palette, I really would have regretted it, but because I have a YouTube channel and I was able to review it, it's not as big of a regret, but I don't think that I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of that palette anymore. Now let's move on to some collaboration palettes. Now you can answer this in any way that you want if you plan on doing this video. You can mention palettes that you didn't buy, just things that you have seen. Doesn't matter, it can be creator collabs, can be any collab that you want, but the best collaboration for me, I think, this was really hard because I feel like there has been so many good collaborations this year, but I feel like one of the ones that were the most successful was probably the collaboration between Odens and Angelica, and for a good reason, because this palette is so beautiful. Now, I am very biased towards Odens as a brand because, I mean, I've worked with them. I did a collab with them. I love their formula. I think that they are amazing, and I also love Angelica, so for me, it's like, I love this palette. I think it is so beautiful, and I remember first time I saw this being released, I was kind of like, like, I'm not sure about this color story, but the more I use this palette, the more I kind of get it. Like, it's a very versatile palette. You can do so much with it, even though it looks like it's really just a green and pink palette, but the undertones in all of these colors and the shimmers and everything that is picked out, I think is so beautiful. The layout is really nice. Everything performs so well, and I appreciate this palette. I think Angelica did a really good job with this, and I'm super happy to have it in my collection, and I really want to play with it more. I just need to make time, which is easier said than done. Now, the next question is, what is the worst collaboration of the year? And I struggled a little bit to find an answer to this, but I'm honestly putting it in here more because I'm curious what other people think. But I do have to say that I feel like whatever Hip Dot ends up doing is just fucking stupid. Excuse my language, but it's like, who's buying these things? Like, I think it's just so dumb, especially those little bears that they've come out with. I know so many people are making fun of them, but I haven't talked about them yet, and I just think that they're dumb. Like, sure, is it like a collector's item? Yeah, but do you really want to just buy makeup to collect and display? I don't know, maybe you do, but I'm not that kind of person. I want to buy makeup and I want to use my makeup, and I feel like I've seen some videos on them and they really don't perform that well. It's more of a novelty item. It's more something that you buy just because it's cute, or you give it as a gift, but then what do you do with it? It's just gonna end up like rotten, you know, in a drawer, or maybe you'll display it and then maybe people will come over and be like, oh, that's cute, but then that's it. you know, they're never gonna get any use really, and it just seems stupid. It seems like a waste of money, and I'm not here for it. But if you have some other collabs that you think have been really, really bad, let me know. I feel like there's been a lot of, I could probably mention most of the Makeup Revolution collabs because I feel like a lot of them are just too big. Like, I understand having like a collection with a lot of things so that, you know, if someone doesn't like one item, maybe they like the other one. But I feel like their collections are just so overwhelming that I wouldn't even know where to begin. And so I would probably just end up never buying any of it, which honestly is the case. I don't care for Makeup Revolution as a brand very much. It just doesn't appeal to me. And so I feel like all of their collabs are just kind of like, eh. But yeah, let me know what you think. The next question is, what is the best seasonal release of the year? And this doesn't have to be a Christmas release, or, you know, it can be whatever you want it to be. If you feel like something came out in January that was like a perfect winter release or the perfect spring release, mention that, talk about that. I'm going to mention a Christmas release because I just feel like they really nailed it with this one. I don't know what it is, but there's just something so magical about these palettes, and these are the Christmas palettes from Odens. It's a shame that these are not available anymore and they sold out, but honestly, the color stories of these and the theming of these, they really did something, and I love these color stories. I feel like at this moment, I probably gravitate a little bit more towards this one, but for the most part, I feel like this would be more up my alley, but I don't know. There's something about the warm tones in here that just, it makes me feel very cozy and very fall and very Christmas. And I love the range of colors in here, and I really want to play with this more. I'm gonna say that every single time I open this palette, that I want to play with it more because it's truly special, and I'm so glad that I have it, and I hope that you guys bought these palettes because they really are some of the best palettes that have come out this year, if you ask me. Next question, what is a palette that is still on your mind that has been released this year? And I think for me, the palettes that kind of come to mind are all of the Danessa Myricks palettes. I always look at them and I drool a little bit, but then I'm like, you know what, I don't need it. And I think the reason why I've never ended up buying any of them is because number one, they're expensive. Number two, I have so many beautiful special shimmers. And number three, there's always been a couple of formulas in those palettes that I just knew that I wouldn't really either like or get along with. Like, I don't care for those kind of flaky shades. She's had some water activated shades in some of them. And I also don't like the layout where the pans are larger in the middle and smaller on the bottom and top. I don't know. There's always just something that sort of puts me off. But then I see someone use the palettes and I'm like, oh, like they truly are beautiful palettes, and now I want it again. So those are definitely some that are on my list of things that if I had unlimited money and makeup was free and I could just like choose a palette to use today, I would probably pick one of them because I'm curious and I'd like to know if it's really worth the hype. But I don't see myself really picking any of them up, but they are on my mind. Next question, what are you hoping to see next year when it comes to eyeshadows and eyeshadow trends? I think for me, what I would like to see is more brands focusing a little bit more on their packaging and giving us that full experience, and not just the color stories, not just the performance, but I want the whole package. And when I think of the whole package, I always think of Kaleidos as a brand. I feel like their packaging is always on point. And even though the color stories that they've come out with this year hasn't really like blown me away, I do really like the quads that they have, but they've never, I don't know what it is. Like they're just not that special when it comes to what's actually inside of the packaging. So I want the whole package. I want like Kaleidos' packaging with like Odens formulas, or you know what I mean? Like I just want every brand to just be a little bit extra. And I know that's more expensive and smaller indie brands can't really do that. But if you can't do that, I would say maybe just be a little bit more creative, think outside of the box, come up with things that other brands haven't done, and just focus a little bit more on your packaging and make sure that everything kind of makes sense together. The color story goes with the packaging. I really like that personally. So yeah, I don't know. I just want to see more brands do more, you know? I just want more. I'm just excited. I like makeup in general. I love eyeshadows, and I'm curious to see what the next big trend for next year is going to be, because I feel like this year it has definitely been those very putty like shimmers. very putty, like very creamy, very sparkly. Like I love those shimmers, and I feel like more and more indie brands are starting to put those into their palettes, and I'm wondering what's going to be next, because there has to be like a next big thing. I don't know yet what that is going to be. Maybe we'll go back to regular metallic shimmers. Maybe it's going to be more multi-chromes, which I'm always here for multi-chromes. I love them. Maybe more iridescent shades in palettes, maybe more water activated liners in palettes. I'm here for all of it. Like I want there to be different textures in palettes, a big variety of like, or a big range of colors within a palette. That's what I look for. So I really like that. More curated color stories. I'd like to see more 9-pans. That I feel like 9-pan for me is kind of the sweet spot where the brands are forced to be creative in order to be able to impress and really sell a color story. So I really like 9-pans. I really like 12 and 16 pans as well, but just like more in that range. And I also really like quads. I like smaller palettes. So I don't know, I'm just excited to see what the next year has to offer. Now, what don't you want to see more of next year? I'm so over the Disney collabs. I'm so sorry, like don't cancel me, but I'm just over it. Like it's been so much, and I feel like every single brand has done at least one Disney collab, and I'm like, can we do something else? Like, is there nothing else to collab with but Disney? Like let's just move on, you know? Like that would be my thing. I just want something different. I'm sick of it. I'd love to hear what you guys think, but that is like the one thing that comes to mind for me, because I think it's also because I'm not a very nostalgic person. I don't really care about all the cartoons that I used to watch when I was a kid, and that's probably just me, but I don't need makeup based around it. I don't need a Barbie collab. I don't need anything that I used to think was really fun when I was 5 years old. Like I'm an adult, and I would like something that's a little bit more, it doesn't have to be adult theme, but just not kids makeup. Last question on my list is going to be kind of broad. You can answer this in any way that you want, but what do you hope to improve on? Maybe what do you want to do more of when it comes to eye makeup next year? Are there any trends that you would like to try, that you are afraid of, things that you see on other people that you don't think that you could pull off yourself? What is one thing that you would like to maybe focus a little bit more on? I think for me, I definitely want to focus more on my lash application. I know it doesn't have to do with eyeshadows, but like it's a big part of my eye makeup, and I feel like I'm getting better, but it's such a struggle to just have a nice streak of good lash days, and it's just something that's going to come with practice. But I've really been enjoying my lashes, I'm not gonna lie, and I know some of you wish I didn't wear lashes, but I don't care. I like them, and I'm gonna keep wearing them, and I think that they are beautiful. When it comes to like eye makeup in general though, I just want to keep being creative, keep trying new things. If I see a trend that I like, try it, because why not, right? And I just don't want to become stale and boring and predictable with my makeup. That's like my only goal really. I just want to keep being creative, keep having fun with makeup, and try not to get in too many makeup ruts. Of course, it's going to happen here and there where all you want to do is the same look all the time and with different colors, and that's totally fine, but I don't want that to be something that I rely on for like most of my looks. I want to make sure that, you know, maybe I'll plan out a look the day before, maybe I'll look for inspiration on Instagram. I love doing that, just kind of scrolling and then taking screenshots if I see something that other people have done that I want to try. I just want to keep being creative. So those are going to be my goals, and I think that this was a really fun tag. I hope that some of you end up doing it. I would love to hear your answers, because like I said in the beginning, I love watching tag videos. I think that they are so fun. Also, don't forget to check out Teddy Blake if you are interested in a new handbag, either for yourself or for someone that you love. It will be linked down below, as well as my code. So that's going to be it for today. If you want to see some more tag videos, I do have a playlist. I will put that right there. Some of them are probably quite old. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.